Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morris, I'm director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about the extreme and about the mundane, and how the mundane can be a lot more interesting than you might expect. Particularly because the reason that something is mundane is because of us. You're doing it all the time, right? Say you go to school every day, school has become mundane. I've not been to school for 10 years. If I went to school, it would be not mundane because it would be an interesting thing, because I don't normally do that. If I just, went to high school today, having not been in high school for quite a long time, and just sat in a maths class, it would be a novel experience for me. But a 15-year-old who is going to school all the time, they're going to sit in that maths class and be like, oh my God, I'm so sick of this. Conversely, that same 15-year-old might go into an office where someone has been working for the last 20 years, just sitting there like that all day, clock in at 9, punch out at 5. And then, that 15-year-old is going to kind of like it because it's a new experience to them, it's novel to them. Like when I did work experience, I worked in an office and I loved looking at all the little bits of the computer stuff, and I liked looking at the little setups everyone had, and I felt like I had so much life because it brings you that life. The novelness of it brings you energy. And I feel like the reason I wanted to make this video is because the mundane is a lot more interesting than you actually think. But the only reason that it seems uninteresting is because you're so used to it. And when you get used to something, it doesn't matter how great that thing is, it will become mundane. Just through the sheer nature of continual acquaintance, essentially, with that thing. Like, say you get your dream job, right? Say your dream job is to work as a pilot, okay? And now you've become a pilot, right? And you've been a pilot for the last 10 years. You're loving it, right? Because you're doing your dream job. You go to the pub on the weekend, and people ask you, oh, how's your piloting going? Where did you go today? Where did you go this week? And you sort of go, oh yeah, I went to Mallorca. I went to Greece, and then on Greece I did a sort of round trip back. So I actually went to Dubai. I had to stay overnight there for a little bit, and then I kind of made my way back. So that was quite fun. But, then it starts to set in that you've got to spend all this time away from your family, and, flying is actually a little bit boring when you really break it down. You're sat there just watching the sky for ages, just like this. Should we press the button now? Yeah? Yeah, I know. And then you probably, you and the co-pilot probably have a bit of back talk. And if you get on with the co-pilot, then you're having a good time. But if you don't like your co-pilot, then you're not really having a great time. But the point I'm trying to make is that the more that you kind of go through these experiences that originally started off as these kind of heavenly euphoric things, and then you have too much of them, they become uninteresting. The same way with that pilot, having done that for 10 years, he's now not necessarily bored of it, but he's not any more feeling that euphoric high that he kind of got from it when he first started, because he was kind of like, I worked so hard for this. I was training for years, and I really worked my way up. And being a pilot is a really hard thing to do. I passed all my flight school, and I got my 50,000 hours, whatever it is you need to get. I did all of that. Now I'm finally a pilot, and I bet his first job, his first real commercial flight where he got paid for it, that was one of the best moments of his life. And the second one of the best moments of his life. And the third one of the best moments of his life, and so on and so forth and so forth. But each time, a little bit less than one of the best experiences of his life. A little bit less. And it's not like it ever got bad. Obviously there's some days when he goes in, maybe his co-pilot today is the knobhead that he always hates getting. Maybe he's flying to somewhere where it's always a bit turbulent. Maybe the destination's a bit shit, and the hotel he's going to stay in, British Airways will only cover a certain 3-star hotel. They won't comp a 5-star hotel or whatever. I don't know exactly how it works. But you get the general idea that once you get used to something, it stops being cool, and it starts becoming just the thing that you are, okay? And it's part of why I'm making this video is because I don't want that to happen to these videos that I'm making now. I don't want to ever take these for granted and to take them as something where it's a mundane thing for me to do. I'm just getting up and doing the videos and just shitting them out. That's absolutely not what I want to do, because I'm incredibly, eternally grateful to the audience that has actually come and joined me on this mad expedition of this, I guess, one, philosophical figuring out of things, and two, just it's testing out the quantity versus quality idea, seeing how much stuff you can make and seeing how many ways you can make various points and attack things from new angles. And I think, as life becomes so euphoric for me, from everything that's happening at the moment, I wanted to make a video about the idea of mundanity, because at some point I am going to get used to this. and it will become the norm, and I'll become that pilot who has achieved my dream job. I mean, this is basically my dream job, what I'm doing right now. I've wanted to do this since I was a little kid. I've always been creating stuff even before, you know, I really understood the internet. And I always wanted people to take something away from it, and that's finally happening. And I'm absolutely euphoric about it. And I don't want it to become a case of in 10 years, if I'm still doing this, for me to just sort of not care anymore. The same way that pilot just goes in, he's like, right, where are we flying today, lads? Oh, America. Oh, long haul. You know, and I feel like that is something that happens to everybody, because once you get something that's amazing, same way, I don't know, say you get married, right? The marriage is one of the biggest, most eventful, like, most beautiful days of your life, where everything is meant to go so perfectly, right? And then, you know, a couple of years after the marriage, you're just sort of, the mundanity has set in, and no longer does life feel like that kind of euphoric thing, because that was something you were building up towards. That was the roller coaster going up and up and up and up like that. And then that, you know, moment where the dream comes true, you get what you want. That's the beginning of the drop. And then after the drop, there's just a long flat, right? And after the flat, it's up to you to see and perceive the peaks and valleys from there on in, because no longer will life just do them for you. You now have to do them yourself, because you're the one that needs to find the positivity in the world. You're the one that needs to seek out new and novel and interesting experiences. You're the one that needs to come up with new dreams after you achieve your old ones. You're the one that is in control of this life, and all you can do really is just try your absolute best to be as content as possible with yourself, and recognize that the mundanity that you might perceive in the things that, you know, you do like and are really fond of, but you're so used to them now that there is that mundanity that's starting to set in. Try and take some time to recognize that, you know, these things at one point were absolutely incredible and new, and you know, try and tap into that old way of seeing them and perceiving them. And I know that can be hard. It's the same way, you know, I can't really imagine being in high school anymore. I can't imagine, but I know if I went to high school now, I would be having a lot more fun than the 15-year-old me that was in high school the time that he was having. I'd be having a way better time. I'd be sat there like, oh, miss, what do they do now when they call out the answers for homework? Do you collect the homework like digitally now? Or I'd be asking stupid questions like that, because I'd be removed from the situation. And I think the mundanity would be replaced with a new intrigue and a new perceptiveness and a new novelty to what is traditionally quite a mundane thing. Going to school, I don't think anyone can say that going to school is an exciting affair, you know? The same way that pilot who's been doing that for 10 years, he can no longer say it's exciting. He might say it's exciting, you know, when people ask him how the job's going, oh, it's so exciting, but it's like, oh, it's not really. You're just saying that because you're meant to say that, you know. And you can tell when people do that. You can tell when people are saying stuff just because that's the thing that they're meant to say. They're meant to feel a certain way. But you can then really tell when someone actually means it, because they have that sheer emotiveness to them, that even if they're quite a reserved person, the reservedness is not there, because the reserves are incapable of dealing with the amount of emotional resonance that is being felt by that person. And that's a true stage of life that you want to get at. I think that is the peak of the thingy's pyramid of needs, where the base of it is you know, food and sustenance, and then the next one is sort of shelter, fairly necessary things, not being genocided or whatever, right? And then above that, you've got like the need for socialization and the need for friends and the need for, you know, an education and stuff like that. And then above that is the need for inner peace and all that kind of stuff. And then finally, it's the finding of your true self, and that is unique to everybody. And I can't remember the name of the pyramid of needs or what that thing actually is, so someone put it in the comments below, and I'll maybe pin that so you can get some information about it. Just look it up. Look up the pyramid of needs. You probably already know what it is, to be honest, anyway. So just go and have a little look at that. And yeah, in terms of the mundanity of life, just try and see things that you take for granted in that light that you saw them many, many years ago, or many months ago, or however long ago it was when you looked and you felt something. Just keep looking and keep trying to find that inner emotion, because particularly as a British culture, we're quite a reserved culture anyway. We're not ones like for instance, the Italian culture or the Spanish, these sort of cultures, they're very, hoy, kind of like that, right? And they're really into it. British aren't much like that. I think you get the little movements is where the emotive resonance sort of comes in. And so, yeah, just try and recognize the things that are good, even if you're used to them. Just recognize that they are amazing and they're part of your life. And, you know, even though you're going to get not necessarily sick of them or tired of them, you're just going to get used to them. Try and always remember how you feel when that first started, that first thing, when you first got your pilot's license. Yeah? Because think about this, when you first went to school, when you first started high school, and it was your first day, wasn't that a mad day? Wasn't that like, wow? And then, you know, you get to like 8 months into the first year of high school, that's completely out the window. That's not even in your headspace anymore. Try and tap into that, if that makes sense. Try and tap into that inner peace that can kind of come from novelty and newness. And yeah, I think that's going to be about everything. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you managed to take something away from this. I hope you managed to look around at your graphite grey work surface and remember the time when you actually had it put in and you thought it was really nice and now you're kind of sick of it. You know, or you know, maybe have a look at your car, you know, your Toyota Prius that's done in you know, silver, and maybe now you're thinking, I wish I'd gotten a BMW M5 or whatever in you know, navy blue. But actually, if I got that BMW M5 in navy blue, would I not just get sick of it and I'd want, you know, an Aston Martin afterwards? But of course you would. No, nothing's technically ever good enough because the grass is always a little bit greener on the other side. So just, you know, put some saturation up, turn the saturation up on your fucking eyes and have a look at the grass that's around you, because the grass that's around you is really fucking green. I'll tell you what, look at this grass here. Look how grassy that bit of grass is there, right? That's dew right there, all right? Don't know if you can see it, I might be blocking it. There you are, that's dew right there. So yeah, hope you managed to take something away from this. Love you all, leave your comments in the description below. And yeah, thank you very much for watching this. Have a great rest of the day. Au revoir. It's nice to actually have a seat for once. Also, I'm just going to show you how this camera is set up because it's ridiculous. It was wedged in that. It was wedged in that right there. Hang on. I'm going to have to... There we are. It was wedged in that tree. That's not how you're meant to make videos.